Welcome to the coastal city of Split, Croatia for game day 2 of this Olympic qualifying tournament as Mexico face a must-win game against a Russia side beginning their campaign here today. Yes, on the road to Tokyo 2020, we're live from the Spaladium Arena on the Adriatic coast. A warm welcome from myself, Tim Long, alongside Manchester Giants head coach Lloyd Gardner. After a narrow and spirited defeat to Germany yesterday, this is Mexico's do-or-die game in terms of reaching the next Olympic Games. And the flip side of that, Lloyd, is Russia know they're going to Saturday's semi-finals if they get the win in this one.
Yeah, straight away, day 2, and we've already got a do-or-die game, really. You know, Mexico have to get the win after the defeat yesterday. And for Russia, it's almost 2 bites. The ability to win either of these next 2 games will see them through.
2 groups of 3 teams here in Split, the top 2 from each group making the final for this game from Group A, Russia's first game of the competition. We saw a win for Germany over Mexico yesterday. Later tonight in Group B, host Croatia in action for the first time, a mouth-watering contest with Brazil, who impressed in their win over Tunisia yesterday. And the group stage concludes then with the final 2 games tomorrow before a rest day on Friday. A few fans in the house, and there'll be many more later on this evening when Croatia are in action for the first time. We got a good look, Lloyd, at Mexico yesterday. Impressive for so long against Germany before slipping away in that final quarter, but plenty to suggest they can at least make life tough for the highest ranked nation in this tournament, Russia.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it, Tim. We saw, you know, the quality of the Mexicans on full display yesterday. Huge performance from Paco Cruz in the backcourt. He's the go-to guy. You know, Gustavo Ayón on the inside as well is a guy who's been there and done it before, as have a lot of these Russian faces.
Since independence in 1991, they've won 4 medals on the continental stage. Russia, European champions in Spain in 2007, silver medalists in Germany in 1993, bronze medalists in Spain in 97, and in Lithuania in 2011. They placed 4th at the last edition of Eurobasket in 2017, and of course won bronze at the Olympics in 2012 as well. Sergei Blazarevich, the head coach of Russia. And we're now ready for the introduction of Mexico. Yesterday, they led for the vast majority of the first 3 quarters, put up at least 20 points in each of them, but they were held to just 9 in the final period, losing the game by 6. They shot the better percentages from the floor. They struggled at the line, though, where Germany excelled. Strength in depth, a real problem as well. The German bench, Lloyd, dramatically outscored the Mexicans 37-8.
Well, the question for the Mexicans is do they have the legs for 2 days in a row as well? You know, they couldn't quite keep it going for the full 40 minutes yesterday. They come back again today. You know, short turnaround from them. Russia have had the opportunity to scout them, to see what they do as well. The question is, can they put that same performance that we saw for 30 minutes on the floor again, but extend it for that final 10?
Mexico coached in this one by Omar Quintero. And the 2 sets of players out on the floor. And ahead of this second game for Mexico, first game for Russia, we'll pause for a moment for the 2 national anthems.
remain standing for the national anthem of Mexico.
It's the 2013 champions of the Americas against the 2007 champions of Europe. Mexico against Russia here at the Palladium Arena in Split, as we take a look at your officiating team for this first game on court here today. For Russia, the vast majority of this squad is experienced in their late 20s or early 30s. Forward Simeon Antonov and centre Timofey Mozgov won Olympic bronze at London 2012. Mozgov an NBA champion with the Cavs in 2016 as well. Forward Andrei Vorontsevich led Russia at the last World Cup. And there's plenty of talent on this roster, led by this man, Lloyd.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see Mozgov, as you said, a former NBA champion, has been out of action really for almost 3 years, battled some injury, he's played a bit part, so great to see him back out on the floor and apparently in a healthy state, according to coach Sergei Bezarevich.
A man who competed at both Sydney 2000 and the 1992 games in Barcelona, the head coach. Now on the bench to lead Russia, as we take a look at the Mexican lineup. We talked about the lack of depth. That meant key players playing long minutes. Just 24 hours ago, Paco Cruz played 38 minutes. Paul Stoll, 33. Gustavo Ayon in foul trouble, but still played 31 minutes. So it's whether they can go again and whether he can reproduce this kind of stat line.
Well, yesterday he was simply incredible. Paco Cruz started the game, really set the tone early for Mexico. They use him a lot in a two-man game alongside Gustavo Ayon. Really difficult to slow down. So it'll be interesting to see how Russia would have watched Mexico play and what strategy they're going to have in place for Paco Cruz.
The head coach Omar Quintero said in the build-up to the tournament that their current talent can make one of the best teams in their history, but no doubt today the established stars Paco Cruz and Gustavo Ayon need a bit more help. Those two combining for 48 of their 76 points yesterday. Against this Russia team, they'll need others to step up.
I think the key thing is Coach Bezarevich as well, what he said in the build-up to this game. He said this is a Mexican team that if you let them have their rhythm, they're difficult to stop. So it's important to break that rhythm. He said he enjoyed watching them play the way they were yesterday against the Germans. So a bit of admiration from the Russian coach to the Mexican side, but I don't think that he's going to be taking them lightly after the way Mexico played through that first 3 quarters yesterday.
Russia looking to go to their 4th Olympic Games, winning bronze at London 2012. Mexico, bronze medalists back at the very first edition of the basketball tournament in 1936. They need a win today to keep their dream alive of a first appearance at the Games for 45 years. They've now lost 6 of their last 8 in one of these Olympic qualifying tournaments. Russia a perfect 4-0 in these tournaments. That was en route to London 2012. They'll need a big evening from that man there, their big start. It is a must-win for Mexico, a real opportunity for Russia. They could seal a semi-final spot even before playing Germany tomorrow. They're the 9th ranked nation in world basketball, the highest ranked nation at this tournament. We're about to find out, I think, Lloyd, what this Russian team is made of. And they'll certainly get a test against Mexico. And they start with the ball, Russia. Vorontsevich handing it off. Plenty of movement from Baburin. And a long-range shot off the mark from Vorontsevich.
Well, the interesting thing about this Russians, 4 starters all play for the same club team. So a lot of continuity for them. You know, a lot of guys that know each other extremely well. We talked about that in the games yesterday.
Ayon with a mid-range push shot. It's Mexico who land the first blow, and it is their big hitter, Gustavo Ayon.
Oh, there you see it straight away. The tactic from Russia really flood Paco Cruz, but Cruz just so good. Recognizes 2 guys on him, finds the open pass to Ayon.
A couple of unsuccessful possessions now for Russia as well. Ivan Strebkov there running out of room. He's one of those players you talked about playing with Nizhny. There's 3 players who've averaged in double figures for points in the Basketball Champions League with Nizhny this past season on this Russian roster. Here goes Paco Cruz off the back of that 30-point game yesterday. Ayon now steps to the side. Wild shot, offensive rebound though. Cruz takes the 3. Moskov's rebound. Mexico working really hard, as you'd expect on the defensive end.
Yeah, and for Russia, a couple of good defensive possessions to start the game, though. I think they haven't yet got going offensively. You know, that end of the floor still sitting on the bench for them. But right now, defensively, I think they'll take a lot of credit for the way they've started.
Andrei Vorontsevich, the 33-year-old, hands it off on the perimeter to Strebkov. Then sets the screen. Does Mozgov, and Strebkov off the mark, so Russia's still searching for the first score. And now it's Stoll, the 35-year-old point guard for Mexico, in transition at pace. Paco in the corner. He'll look to play one-on-one, go baseline under the hoop, challenged by 2, kicks it back out. Shot clock down to the final 10, still plenty of time for Mexico. Ayon, cross-court pass, high catch, 3-point shot. Ayon trying to get underneath it, battling with Mozgov, and Mozgov wins the battle. Baburin off to Strebkov. Strebkov shooting behind the big screen of Mozgov and knocking down the first score for Russia.
Well, if you've not seen Ivan Strebkov play before, that is his money shot right there. The pull-up off the dribble, that mid-range shot.
Cruz into the lane, little hesitation. And the long arms of Vorontsevich blocking the passing lane. Russia continuing to play good defense. Yeah,
just another exceptional possession. It was 4 against 5 on that possession. They still got the stop. Mexico doing a bit of their great defense as well, but you know, Russia absolutely looks so organized right now. You know, I didn't think Germany did a very good job of that yesterday, kind of being prepared. Obviously, the Russians have had that day to look at Mexico, so it's a lot easier to put that scouting report together. It's a lot easier to convince your team you should guard Paco Cruz when he has 30 points yesterday, but all credit to Russia for the defensive start.
Miss from Vorontsevich, the 3-time EuroLeague champion over 14 years at CSKA Moscow. And then Mexico lose it, trying to attack quickly. Inside it goes to Mozgov, trying to get basket side, denied. Stuffs it in at the second attempt, but a travel.
I talked about Russia's defense, but same for Mexico. You know, we saw they're a battling team, they're a grafting team on that defensive end. Plays like that, you know, Jaime, who I thought was exceptional yesterday, picked up some fouls in the early half, and they could have really dealt with, you know, had him on the floor. Second half, he played well, rotating down, getting the block, forcing the turnover. It's plays like that for Mexico, as we keep saying, you know, they've just got to be consistent with the effort throughout.
Yeah, they could do with him on court for longer today. Fouled out in 19 minutes yesterday, but he had 9 points, 9 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds and 2 steals, Fabian Jaimes. Ion handing off to Giron. Giron's going to take the contested three-point shot over the top of the hoop. And Mexico with another offensive rebound.
The interesting thing defensively for Russia, they seem to be switching up the matchup on Paco Cruz as well, since Baborin and Astapkovic both taking turns at guarding him. And we asked for that yesterday. Try and wear Cruz down. He's got to play so many minutes. This is what you want to do, just really grind it out against him.
Cruz onto Ion. Ion with a nice finish, moving under the basket on the reverse.
That's where Paco Cruz is so good. You know, we talked points, scoring, how good he's been, but yet again, the provider. As soon as the defense helps too much, timing of his pass is beautiful.
Not just the 30 points, but 7 rebounds, 6 assists yesterday as well. Strepkov lost it up against Jaimez, who's started very well indeed, setting the tone for Mexico in terms of the tenacity again.
Well, Jaimez gives up so much size. He's essentially the 4 for Mexico, but this is what he can do, being that smaller guy. He can step out, he can be really aggressive defensively, so quick, and then offensively, we know, spaces the floor, shoots it really well, and he gets to the glass.
Paco Cruz, left hand onto Ion, who somehow thread the eye of the needle into a pack of Russian players for the finish from Jaimez.
That's great team basketball from Mexico. A joy to watch, as Coach Bazarevich said.
Just 2 points in 4 minutes for Russia here. And then Jaimez, once again, working so hard on the defensive end after a nice play on the offensive end as well.
We talked a lot about, you know, the fact that Mexico playing back-to-back, but the benefit of playing is they've already got that first game out of the way. So they found their rhythm through that first 40 minutes they played. For Russia, this is game number 1. They're trying to get their rhythm going.
Russia looking to get down the baseline. They lost it. No rhythm there. Paco Cruz in transition. 2-on-1. Giron looking to get it back to Paco, who's not going to miss from there.
And already 3 turnovers against the Russians. That sums up, you know, a disjointed start, even with a lot of guys who play together.
First score for Mexico's biggest offensive weapon, and Jaimez just continues to hunt down Russia.
Shot clock's getting low. Going to have to go quick here, Russia.
5 to shoot. Across to the trail. Open three-point shot with limited time. Andrei Vorontsevich knocks it down.
Well, you know, Mexico make one small mistake on that pick and roll. Russia good enough to punish them.
And the average close to 15 points per game in the Basketball Champions League with Nizhny this season. Andrei Vorontsevich, 6.6 rebounds as well. Stoll to Ion, who's a very good passing big man out to the corner. Three-point shot missed by Paco Cruz, but an offensive rebound again. Giron this time, that's their 3rd of the game, Mexico.
Just great team basketball. Stoll, the quick pass out of the ball screen. They've got Paco Cruz in the right spot. Defense help, they get him a wide open 3, but they don't stand and watch. You know, excellent offense on the glass.
Three-point shot, Strepkov too long. Batted back, but out of bounds into the bench. And Russia hit just a couple of shots in the space of 5.5 minutes.
Now, the question for the Russians is who's going to be the kind of step-up scorer for them. That's what I want to know. Who's going to be their go-to guy? They've got a lot of very good role players, a lot of good team guys, but somebody's got to step up.
Stoll on the bounce to the basket. All the way through, misses the shot. Now can Russia really get going? Kardanakishvili, the 19-year-old, has come in wearing the number 7. Another missed shot for them, though, by Vorontsevich, having hit a 3 himself not too long ago. Mexico by 5, 4 minutes remaining here in the first. Paco Cruz going behind the back, into the lane, bumping bodies. Tough shot, misses, rebound secured by Baborin. And here goes the teenager again, Kardanakishvili. And in transition, Russia find their flow as Simeon Antonov rises to rock the rack.
It's an interesting sub, putting Kardanakishvili in so early. Hasn't played, he's owned by CSKA Moscow, never played for their first team, only played in the second team, at youth age groups for them. So, you know, first man in, and I think that shows you what Coach Bazarevich is thinking right now. He needs that energy. He wants someone who's going to try and lift the tempo for Russia, which is exactly what he's done in the early stages. Great little kick-ahead pass there.
Ion, one-on-one with Antonov, who finished off that assist from the teenager. Giron open for the three, and he makes it count.
I mean, the threat of these key guys from Russia, they're so good at knowing what they do. Ion just under control, waits and waits and waits. The help comes. He knows Giron's just standing and waiting. Pinpoint pass, Giron knocks it down for three.
We talked about how yesterday they were so reliant, Mexico, on Paco Cruz and Ion. They combined for so many points. The rest of the team only had 28. It's a different story early on here for Mexico. Other contributors stepping up. Kardanakishvili. Baburin inside, Antonov misses the shot from mid-range. She's one of the key players for Russia, another CSKA Moscow player. Giron takes the three, having just hit one from the opposite side, not from this wing. And here comes Kardanashvili again with plenty of open hardwood to fly into, and he picks the right pass at the end of it, and that's the same connection for Russia. Simeon Antonov there to finish.
Oh, the subs have worked, haven't they? Come in, just lifted the level.
Ion traveling at pace, denied by Antonov, who claws it away from Mexico's big man. Baburin, high-paced game now. Back and forth, little spin to the hoop, and the finish from Astapkovich. And Russia are back within a couple.
Mexico just need to take their time, settle this. The tempo has just suddenly shifted towards Russia. You know, the substitutions really have worked for them in lifting that level.
Two big bodies clattering. And Anton Astapkovich down, colliding with Gustavo Ion. Mexico still ahead, but Russia have finally found their rhythm.
I think this little break in play helps Mexico just get a breather here. The game was up and down as it was, really suited the Russians.
Simeon Antonov, an Olympic bronze medalist with Russia at London 2012, has made a huge difference off the bench. 4 points in 2 minutes, and that block shot on Ion. Stoll. He's going to take the deep three, and he strings it. Paul Stoll.
They've got great shooters, Mexico, with time and space. Stoll's one of those who'd already seen Giron as well, knocking him down.
Kulagin. Antonov. He's doing everything at the moment, misses the three. And the backboard protected by Jaimes. Stoll again. Threads it through towards Jaimes. The ball was kicked.
I think for Mexico to win this game, this substitution here is important. Paco Cruz goes out. Where's the offense coming in? It's Orlando Mendez that comes on. Mendez has always averaged double figures for Mexico through every tournament he's played. He had a quiet game yesterday, just didn't get going at all. They need him to add a bit of a scoring punch off the bench.
He missed his first 8 shots before hitting one when the game was pretty much done. Here goes Kardanashvili looking to make a name for himself. And so quick down the floor, and the tip from Andrei Vorosevich.
Well, you can see why he's in the team. You can see why they've taken the risk of putting him in alongside Antonov. They've just changed the tempo. Love the way he's pushing the ball.
The pass too high to the corner towards Mendez, so he's not going to get going in this game yet. The turnover from Mexico. And this number 7, we talked about Russia needing to find a go-to scorer. He's certainly been that at youth level, but it's a huge step up, of course, and he's lost the ball here. He certainly provided the spark for his senior team, though.
Yeah, it's the intent of Kardanashvili. He's just, you know, put his head down, dip that shoulder when he's seen the open floor in transition. Either got himself to the basket, or we see him leading that break a couple of times when his passes to Antonov as well. So, you know, I've been impressed with him. I'm impressed with the sub as well. You know, he isn't usually the backup point guard, so to bring him in was a real masterstroke.
Mendez. Meandering dribble onto Jaimes in the corner, up against Antonov. Amigo puts it on the floor, looks back out after drawing the double team momentarily, and Giron with a nice finish, getting his geometry right off the glass. Shot clock turned off at the end of the quarter. Mexico by 5. Despite the improvement, still just 13 points for Russia here in the opening 10 minutes. They'll try and add to that. There's a foul on Paul Stoll. Only Mexico's second of the quarter.
It's the second on Stoll, though. That's the issue. We saw how fouls affected Mexico yesterday. They had to, get through a period with Cruz with fouls, with Ion with fouls, with Jaimez with fouls as well. They can't really afford it.
Kardanakishvili into Antonov. What a connection those two have, and they use it to great effect off the inbound pass this time. 3 assists for the 19-year-old in just a few minutes on the floor.
Well, there's 3 players from CSKA on this Russian team, and 2 of them have absolutely changed the game. These 2 here connecting. We said, Kardanakishvili doesn't play regularly for the first team, but he looks like him and Antonov have a nice connection going already. This is 3 baskets from Antonov, all assisted by Kardanakishvili.
And those 3 assists coming in 4 minutes on court for Kardanakishvili, and the 6, now 7 points for Antonov coming in 4 minutes on court for him. Russia within 2. 4.5 seconds still for Mexico to travel the length of the floor. Estrada takes the deep 3. Not too far off. Mexico, though, have to settle for a very slender lead at the end of 10 minutes. At the end of the first, Mexico 18, Russia 16.
Well, if you haven't seen Mexico before, you've got a good look at them in that first quarter again. Offensively, played well, everything through Paco Cruz. Even though he didn't score the way he did yesterday, Paco Cruz, the creator for those great opportunities a lot of the time. Russians started to find their rhythm offensively, I think. They'll look at the defensive end. That'll be everything for Russia in this game here tonight. They will believe that they're going to get points, that they can score on that end of the floor. They'll know that they're going to win this game playing defense.
Both teams started well on the defensive end. It was a low-scoring first 4 minutes or so. And then Mexico had a little run, opened up a gap. Russia battled back. Omar Quintero very happy with the efforts of his players over the course of the first 5 quarters they've played here in Split. And they led, remember, for the vast majority of the first 30 minutes against Germany yesterday as underdogs. Russia the favourites for this one as well, but Mexico have the lead again in a game that for them is quite simply must win. Antonov, though, in transition off those passes from Kardanakishvili. 6 points for him, 7 points for him to lead Russia in scoring.
Mexico out early, still Paco Cruz is on the bench, Gustavo Ion on the bench as well. I like this call, though. I think, as we talked about, Mendez has got to step up, so this is almost forcing him to do that here. The offense is going to run through the man with the ball right now.
Here is Mendez on the left hand, takes the long 2. Really having a tough tournament at the moment, Orlando Mendez. He'll try again. Mendez with the pass this time to the far side. Amigo back out to Giron. He's hit a 3 already. Clings onto it this time. Passes past 2. Amigo to the far side. 3-point shot, Estrada. It's not happening from the field for Mexico at the moment. Ukov.
Kind of a treading water time for Mexico as well. The important thing is know, if they can keep their noses in front during this period, don't let the Russians get on a run, rather than necessarily need to extend the lead with all their guys on the bench.
Lukov, another CSKA player. Kulagin. Kulagin attacking strong and finishing, a former CSKA player. 18-18, Jose Estrada. And trying to pick it off, and doing so, Ivan Ukov looking to travel the length of the floor and trying to produce the fantastic finish, but failing. He'll try and upgrade to a 3 instead, and he does.
He'll claim that he missed the dunk on purpose because he got the extra point for the 3. I think, you know, the impressive thing again, it's that youngster, the teenager, Kardashian, really staying with the play. Didn't believe he was going to go in, chase down the rebound, and kept the possession alive.
Amigo out to Mendes. Mendes, little up fake, spins towards the baseline, back out to Amigo. Mexico still searching for their first score of this second quarter. Russia with 5 points since the restart. They get it, and how badly they and he needed that shot. Orlando Mendes.
Yeah, it's a nice confidence builder for him.
Just 1 of 10 from the field before that shot in this tournament. There goes Ivan Ukov, and he'll go to the line for 2.
They've been aggressive throughout this game, Russia, offensively. We said, you know, early on they turned the ball over too often. They've been looking fluid, but they've always been the aggressor on that end of the floor, which I think is important. They haven't settled for shots. They've taken the game at Mexico all the time. That's important because, you know, it forces the Mexicans to play a full possession of defense. There's no time off, so the effort level has to be there the whole time. It also puts pressure on you not to foul, where we've already seen Paul Stoll have to go to the bench. We saw that yesterday, you know, Mexico struggling with picking up cheap fouls for key guys. So, you know, that's something for Russia that I think we might not see the advantage of it here in the first few minutes, but it's going to pay dividends in the second half.
And they're going to wear Mexico down. And they've seen a 6-point Mexican lead crumble away. Russia ahead by 2. Estrada harassed by Kardanakishvili. Paco Cruz, just 1 field goal for him so far. Back to Amigo. Amigo far side up against Ivlev, spins into the double team, comes back out over the top of the hoop. Jaime's trying to save it, does so to Estrada, got it away, but can't hit the rim.
That's difference without Ion on the floor. You know, that roll threat, that post threat just isn't there.
And working around the perimeter, Russia, Antonov. Looking to go one-on-one with Estrada. Kardanakishvili steps in for the long-range 2 this time and hits it. He's really putting on a show.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I am with him. Decision-making on point. And there, just the poise. Sold a little fake, steps inside, makes the jump shot. Really impressive start.
4 assists, that's his first score. Mendes. Pass faked on and then shifted by Jaimes. Very cool and composed as he entered the paint. Kulagin to Kardanakishvili. Ivlev off to Kulagin. Kulagin up against Amigo. Ivlev, bounce pass. Playing in tight quarters, Russia.
Yeah, Ivlev should have just taken it up. He had the mismatch against Cruz, so close to the basket, you know, tried to be too intricate. They got lucky to get away with the foul, really. Mendes reaches in. Too many bodies to play against, and no surprise, Ion comes back in for Mexico. You know, Amigo works hard, but he just, they need the threat of Ion out there almost every minute.
Three-point shot for Kulagin, backs it in.
A little shake of his head when he went back. It definitely wasn't meant to go in off the glass, but, you know, you still get the 3 points for it.
He'll happily take it. Manu shot 39% on the perimeter in qualifying for Eurobasket. That was a long way off.
Impressive quarter this so far for Russia. Just kind of turning the screws, great energy on defense, execution, really starting to kind of pay dividends now offensively for them. Found that rhythm, found a little bit more of a comfort with the 5 they have on the floor.
Russia up by 5, having trailed by 6. And they'll get another go here. The final touch from Gustavo Ayon. Vorontsevich, Ivlev to Kulagin. Inside to Vorontsevich, wriggles between a couple, and he's fouled as he puts up the shot.
Patience from Russia. Nice little rip screen, a back screen from Kulagin to get Vorontsevich open. He drew the switch against Cruz, and they just showed the patience, the poise to keep looking at that matchup, which was the right one, the one they wanted to get a good shot.
Out goes Anton Kardanakishvili. He really has impressed. He averaged 19.5 points, 5 assists, nearly 4 steals a game at the EuroLeague's Next Gen tournament in Munich last year. He's translating his skill set to the senior game at the moment. Really surprising us and certainly surprising Mexico.
Well, what a debut at a major competition for him that has been.
Off the missed foul shot, the offensive rebound for Russia. It's an 11-4 second quarter in their favor at the moment. Kulagin's going to pull the trigger on the outside again. He's missed a couple in a row now after banking that one in, but the offensive rebound again. And the big celebration from Andrei Vorontsevich as he sticks it in with the foul.
For me, it's just that relentless nature that we've seen from Russia. You know, the energy on defense, the attack mindset on offense, now just crashing the boards. And for Mexico, now they're starting to get those heavy legs. Points harder to come by. They've had to go to the bench. They're struggling now, and Russia just not stopping. Guys coming in, guys making an impact. Always, always, always the aggressor through this these last few minutes.
A chance for Russia to extend their lead to 8 points when we return. We talked about the difference in terms of the FIBA rankings of the two nations, Russia being the highest ranked nation at this Olympic qualifying tournament, up in 9th. But it's not about a difference, particularly in quality right now, is it? It's about that relentless mentality that you talked about that has seen Russia overcome that 6-point deficit and open up what could be now an 8-point lead.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily anything that Mexico's doing wrong. Just right now, it's a perfect game plan and execution from Russia in this second quarter. 11-4, their advantage in this 5-minute spell nearly here. You know, they've just done everything right. Everything they would have wanted from the coaching staff, everything they would have thought about coming into the game, they've been able to execute.
7 points now for Vorontsevich to Ty Antonov. He's the leading scorer in the game.
And plays like that, just, you know, they've got up, they've pressured the ball, they've forced it to go out of bounds, and now Mexico only have 17 seconds on the clock. So now it's a shorter clock for Cruz to try and get the ball and then to make something happen as well.
Mendes. Here is Paco Cruz. Into Ion. Up against Ivlev, goes baseline. Can he get it to drop? No. Rebound grab by Vorincevic. A dominant second quarter so far for Russia. Right to the midway point of it. A chance to open up a double-digit advantage here. Vorincevic spinning into the lane, dishing off. It will go down with the foul for Vladimir Ivlev. It's the first time Mexico have faced a double-digit deficit in this tournament.
20 of the 32 off the bench right now for Russia, and that shows you again, you know, the way they've just been bringing players in one after the other, ready to contribute. Lovely cut, and it's Vorincevic with a beautiful pass as well. He's been good since he's come back in for his second spell.
10 points, the gap, a 16-4 second quarter in Russia's favor here. Stoll back in the game on 2 fouls, directing traffic. Paco gets the ball, has really struggled to do what he did yesterday. Just 2 points so far after 30 24 hours ago. It's only the second foul on Russia in this second quarter. Ion to the far side, looking to get down the baseline, out of bounds as it's knocked away from Cruz. Giron to inbound to Ion. Mexico desperate for something, anything, they get it. Cutting to the basket at pace, Marco Ramos.
Ramos is another guy a bit like Mendes, who can add a scoring punch, but had a quiet game for them yesterday. So it'll be good to see him, you know, he'll get some confidence from getting that first basket.
As an unsportsmanlike foul has been called on Russia. And they're looking around in disbelief.
I think it was Threbkov that was called for it.
And after Mexico get that score to close the gap down to 8, now they have foul shots and possession. And it's a route back into this first half.
Yeah, it was even Threbkov who committed the unsportsmanlike foul, and it was away from the ball. I didn't see it. There was no complaints from the Russians, though. Threbkov just walked back, so I think he got caught doing something he shouldn't. Referee was pretty convinced it was the right call.
Marco Ramos has got the last 4 points now for Mexico. He averaged 11.5 points per game in the Mexican League playoffs last season on ultra-efficient percentages. Not involved much, as Lloyd said yesterday.
And look at the advantage for Russia. I mean, they've got the 6-point lead. They've just brought 2 starters back into the game for them. 2 of their more experienced guys in Estepkovic and Boborin.
Here's Ion, passes out to the corner. Paco Cruz misses. He's not set his radar right yet today. 1 of 6 from the field, and Russia looking to rub salt in Mexican wounds down the floor swiftly. Strepkov to Ivlev, and they move it around the perimeter. Strepkov bypasses Ivlev, who gets it on the next pass from Astapkovic. And that's quick, fast, fluid basketball from Russia.
It looks very similar to what we saw from Brazil last night. You know, ball just pinging from man to man, decision making so quick from Russia. And right now, Mexico just struggling to keep up with the speed of what the Russians are doing.
Paco Cruz will go again, behind the back this time. Pass over to Stoll, far side. Ramos smothered on the perimeter. As to the man taking the shot, and Russia turn to their defense again. Vladimir Ivlev not budging an inch. 3-point shot. And rims out to Ramos. 8-point game, 3 minutes to play in the first half. Stoll. Ion running interference on the perimeter. Found by Stoll. He's not going to take the long shot. Gustavo Ion. Paco Cruz might, though. Towards the elbow he goes, and he drains that one. It's only his second field goal in 7 attempts, but it will give him and Mexico a bit of confidence. They close the gap. And we'll go to the bench. A timeout from Russia.
Well, Russia defensively have been really impressive here for me. Just 28 points for Mexico. You mentioned, you know, Paco Cruz hasn't got going, but he just hasn't had the opportunities he had yesterday. Even things like when he's spotting up Russia, they helped off him, which you think, first of all, like, oh, that's a dangerous tactic to help off Paco Cruz, but just the rotation, the willingness of players to switch out and know what they should be taken away is just absolutely a joy to watch on the defensive end. You know, a really impressive speed of thought, as I talked about offensively, for the Russians on the defensive end.
This was a crucial score, though, from Paco Cruz, who's not had that same freedom and that same confidence and that same flow that he had yesterday.
Well, it's the first time he's come off and got space like that, and the reason was Ivlev was just gassed. He'd been running up and down, and Coach Vasilevich had seen it. He'd called a timeout, knowing he needed to get some rest for his players, but it's just one basket, one possession too many for him for the way that they'd played.
Remember, this is must win for Mexico if they're to reach the semi-finals on Saturday. It might have got away from them having trailed by double figures. That unsportsmanlike foul called on Russia helped them out. They've kept it close enough here to go towards the halftime interval with a bit of optimism. But Russia, without doubt, deservedly ahead and looking, as we said about Brazil yesterday, like a well-oiled machine. Strepkov. 2.5 to play in the first half. Strepkov gets it back. Guarded by Stoll. Moskov back on the floor for Russia, looking to hand it off. Strepkov, he's going to take the outside shot, leading forward, misses it. Offensive rebound. And fresh 14 on the shot clock for Russia. Strepkov will work in the final 5 seconds of it. Vorontsevich wants to go inside. Moskov was up against Ion. It went the other way, and Mexico survived. Stoll. Ion up against Moskov, takes it straight away down the baseline, but Moskov catches up with it. Paco Cruz, shot clock still ticking, down to the final 2 seconds. Nobody better for Mexico to work in that limited time. But Cruz off the mark by some distance.
Yesterday there was 2 points for Gustavo Ion, but just the size, the mobility, the defensive effort of Moskov wipes it away. Ball doesn't hit the ring, so shot clock's still winding down.
The tallest player on the floor today at 2 meters 15, Timothy Moskov, and there he is on the offensive end attacking. Really putting his big body about at both ends of the floor right now.
Yeah, first look, I wondered how that was a foul on Giron. Just looked like Moskov rolled him over, but you know, Giron moving, recognized or saw that the lob was coming, just couldn't get in position underneath it in time.
So Moskov goes to the line, where Russia are only 3 of 7 so far. This will be the first 2 for Moskov. Altogether, he played close to 500 games in the NBA, a champion with the Cavs in 2016. Through his career, around 7 points, 5 rebounds on average in 18 minutes. Stoll evades the press. Ramos to the far side to Paco Cruz. 8 points, the Russian lead, approaching the final minute of the first half. Ion hands it off to Cruz in the corner, trying to edge his way down the baseline, back out around the perimeter. No room to breathe at the moment on the offensive end for Mexico. Contested shot misses. It will remain in Mexican hands with the shot clock reset to 14.
Another good possession for Russia, though. Didn't finish it with the rebound that they'll be frustrated at. But, you know, Mozgov in the mismatch. Guarded Cruz, forced him into a tough one. And Mexico going to call a timeout, just try and get something going, some momentum going into that second half offensively. Just looking at the box score from yesterday as well. I mean, Mexico had the terrible fourth quarter, but still on the game they shot 41% and 51% from two-point range. Whereas you compare that to today, they're down at 35% as a team. So already like way below that, even after the disappointment of the fourth quarter yesterday. I think that's a good indication of how good the Russian defense has been.
The two big weapons on the offensive end for Mexico, Gustavo Ayllón and Paco Cruz, each with just 4 points apiece here, 8 combined, having combined for 48 yesterday. Having said that, despite the low shooting percentages, despite those two not yet reaching anywhere near yesterday's level, they're only down by 8 and they have the ball. Final minute of the second, Stoll. He takes the static 3 off the back of the timeout and misses it. Mexico 2 of 14 from the outside. Strepkov to Mozgov, wants to volley his way to the basket, called for a travel.
Poor decision from Mozgov, no space for him to go. Should have kicked it out as he faked it. Good defense from Mexico. So they need something. They'd love a Paco Cruz 3 here. He's 0 of 6 in this first half when we're on the three-point line, Cruz. So just something to give him some momentum, something to believe going into the second half.
And they've kept it at a single-digit deficit. They want to just chip away a little bit at it. Go into that halftime locker room with their heads held high. Tough quarter on offense for his team, though. Just 28 points in 19.5 minutes. Babarin's just been called for his second foul. Russia's 4th of the quarter. Stoll. 3-point shot will go from Paco Cruz. Just what Mexico needed. And from the man they needed it to come from as well. He missed his first 6 three-point attempts before draining that one. And it's a 5-point game.
That's exactly what I said. They couldn't have asked for anything more, really. Mexico, Cruz gets the make, gives him a little bit of confidence. It's 3 points to get them within 5. They would love to just finish off this half with a stop. And you never know, 2 seconds differential between shot clock and game clock. Maybe they're going to get one more chance at an offense as well. So all worked nicely for Mexico there.
Only their 3rd 3 on 15 attempts. Paco Cruz now 1 of 7. And that's what he was doing time and time again yesterday. Shot 11 of 20 from the field altogether. Paco Cruz en route to that 30-point game. 3 of 10 so far from the field, and 1 of 7 from downtown in the first half here. 2-second differential between shot clock and game clock at the end of the first half. Ukov. Russia will want to take their time over this offense. Strepkov, 10 to shoot. Movement from Antonov, who gets the ball, far side, looks at the hoop, puts it on the floor. Can't put it in the basket though. Ion takes it down. They've got to release it from center court here. Paco Cruz gets a bit of the net, but underneath the rim. And Mexico, I think, still will be pretty happy with the position they find themselves in at halftime, only down by 5, having trailed by double figures to a relentless Russian team. And Paco Cruz starting to pick up the pace for Mexico. They are still very much in this tournament.
Well, yesterday we saw Mexico leading from the front through the first 3 quarters. That was so impressive. Completely different today, where they're just kind of hanging on, and it's the Russians that have been the pace setters to this one. So now, you know, from Mexico, can they get the result to flip the way the game has? Can they be the team that's, you know, held on in that first half and really find that rhythm we saw yesterday in the second half?
Very even game as you look at the rebounds, assists, turnover numbers, but shooting percentages a big difference maker in Russia's favor. They're led by the 8 points of Vorintsevich. 7 now for Paco Cruz to tie Giron for Mexico. As we take a look back at some of the best moments of the first 20 minutes here. It started well for Mexico. Really intense play on the defensive end for both teams. Neck and neck over the first few minutes before Russia started to overpower Omar Quintero's team. Nice contributions from the likes of Fabian Jaimes, Gabriel Giron for Mexico as well. Vorintsevich stepping up for Russia. They got out on a roll to the delight of head coach Sergei Bazarevich. They opened up a double-digit advantage. And Tonov in off the bench, crucial to that, found 3 times by Kardamakishvili, the teenager. And that helped Russia open up that breathing room, but Mexico refused to lie down. They battled back to halve that double-digit deficit to 5 at the main break. Given what we've seen, Lloyd, over the first 20 minutes, I think Mexico won't be too disheartened right now.
No, Mexico will know they've got to play a great game to be the team with the quality of Russia. So they haven't shot it well. We look at Cruz, 3 of 11, as you talked about. We look at Ion, just 2 of 6 as well. So they'll know those guys are going to have to play at their best. I think what they'll be pleased about is that those guys haven't played at their best, and yet 5 points is nothing. A low-scoring game. That probably plays into the hands of Mexico as well. So I think they'll be saying, look, we just need to get some rhythm. We just need to get some really good shots, and we'll be okay in this second half. Russia haven't shown the ability to really score freely against this Mexican defense, which will be pleasing for them as well.
Half-time at the Spaladium Arena here in Split, the first of 2 games from this Olympic qualifying tournament on this court today. And it's Russia who have the slight edge by 5 points. Mexico 31, Russia 36 at halftime.
Val's beginning to mount up on Reese Barrett with the finish and the scream. First game for these 2 teams here in Victoria, Canada at the FIBA Olympic Qualifying Tournament. Batista sends it home over Ilyasova. Osman, hesitation. Oh, another one. Counted and the foul.
Oh, almost a back pull and turned over. That's just sloppy. The veteran Mingas wasn't really expecting. Oh, what a block!
Yeah, you got to keep your hands up. And Solano avoids the foul. Oh! He hit the runway. How about that? Serbia trying to stop the play with the reach.
We have walked this land for a long time. We know how far we've gone, and we're sure of how far we can go. Unity is not just a word here. It's not just a spirit in this sport. It's the way we all move. We are proud of our art, country, family, language, and culture. We are united by basketball.
Welcome to FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 2022.
Welcome back to the Spaladium Arena in Split, Croatia. We'll take a look at the top scorers from each of the two teams today. Half-time between Mexico and Russia. Russia up by 5. And they've spread their offense around, but led by the 8 points of Andrei Vorontsevich, one of their biggest names. You see the pace on that clip, though, of the 19-year-old Anton Kardanakishvili, who's been a surprise star, coming in off the bench to dish 4 assists in this first half. Andrei Vorontsevich, the leading scorer, but Kardanakishvili, the leading creator for Russia. The 8 points of Vorontsevich coming off 3 of 7 shooting, including that one from the outside. He's played the longest minutes on the Russian roster, 16 in the first half, for the man who captains the team here in Split. A couple of players on 7 points for Mexico. Early on, it was Gabriel Giron who was doing the business with Ion and Paco Cruz struggling. Giron with 3 field goals, 7 points and 18 minutes on court for him. Although Paco Cruz has since caught him up with his couple of baskets late on, including a huge 3-point shot that closed the gap to 5 points and gave Mexico a decent platform from which to build in the second half. Giron, though, the man whose baskets kept Mexico in the fight until Paco Cruz found his range. Mexico 31, Russia 36, the score at halftime. Here, there's a huge game coming this evening from the Spaladium Arena in Split. The hosts in action for the first time. Croatia taking on a Brazil team who impressed yesterday in their 26-point win over Tunisia. A matchup between Croatia and Brazil that could well be the final of this tournament on Sunday. Russia will hope to have something to say about that. Mexico still very much in it, need to win this game though. Given the big defeat for Tunisia yesterday, it looks likely to be Croatia and Brazil that go through as the two teams from Group B, barring a huge upset. But Group A is a little tighter, a little harder to predict, with Mexico, Russia, and Germany. Germany, who edged Mexico yesterday. And that is why this is now must-win for Mexico here today. Russia will play Germany to finish Group A tomorrow. But if Russia win this one, we know that Mexico are done and dusted, despite the efforts of Gabriel Giron. 7 points, a couple of rebounds. They'll hope to complete their comeback in the second half, though, having trailed by double figures earlier on in the first half. Orlando Mendes, a player they could do with really stepping up, only 1 of 9 from the field yesterday. Mendes 1 of 2 so far here. But the Russian defense has been crucial, holding Mexico to just 35% shooting from the field. Vorontsevich leads the way in a couple of categories for them. 8 points, 7 rebounds from the captain. And the 19-year-old at the opposite end of his career, Kardanakishvili, with the 4 assists off the bench in 8 minutes, really providing that spark with the game even early on. The introduction of him and CSKA teammate Simeon Antonov really put Russia in control.
Coach, 5-point lead after the first half. What did you get here? Coach, 5-point lead after the first half. What did you see from the stats? What do you think about the first half?
We were pretty bad in the beginning of the game in the first quarter, and on defensive boards. We fixed that, and you know this has helped us. They didn't have second chance points in the second quarter, so it really helped us. Then we started control rebound. We had some easy opportunities, you know, in fast break. This is also we kind of making some small mistakes. I hope we will fix them.
Thank you very much.
The thoughts of Sergei Basarevich, the Russian head coach. Look to get reaction from the Mexican bench as well, from Omar Quintero.
5-point deficit after 2 quarters. What do you have to improve in the second half?
Yeah, like it's going to be a hard game. You know, Russia is a very good team, but we fight it. We did this counter reform perfect, and we keep it at 35, less than 20 points per quarter. We're gonna do better second half, and I think we have a lot of chance to win this game.
Yesterday, Papa Cruz had 30 points. Now he has 7. How can you get him more involved?
He'll be right in the second half. You know, back-to-back games, especially they did their job doing the scouting also. But we're good. We know he's going to wake up in the second half. He's the best scorer on the tournament. And he's going to finish with 25.
Thank you very much.
Omar Quintero, the confident head coach of Mexico. We've heard from the 2 head coaches. There's another one sat alongside me here in Split, Lloyd Gardner, head coach of the Manchester Giants. Your reaction to the words of the 2 head coaches here?
Yeah, I think it follows what we were talking about before that short break, really. Coach Basarevich, relatively happy, disappointed in the way they started the game, and I'm not surprised about that. He said just small little details that they need to improve. I think they'll be frustrated that they played so well in their second quarter and didn't really kind of break the game open. They've allowed Mexico to hold on. But then if you're Mexico, as Coach Quintero says, you know, he's framing it in a super positive light because it's the game plan that they wanted. Low-scoring game. He said they wanted to hold Russia under 20 points every quarter. A low-scoring game, and Mexico can live with Russia, no problem at all. If it gets up, you know, above 80, then Mexico need other guys to step up for them. I'm not sure that they have those guys. So a low-scoring game works, and as you heard, his confidence, Paco Cruz, is going to come to play in this second half. He's going to find his rhythm, add in another, you know, 15 to 20 points from Paco Cruz in this second half, the way Coach Quintero said it, and it could be really interesting. It could, you know, I'm interested to see the start Russia come with and the start Paco Cruz comes with. That I think is going to be key.
Mexico did hold Russia to 36 points in the first 20 minutes. Russia 4-0 in Olympic qualifying tournament history. They've scored at least 80 points in each of those 4 games. So they're going to have a bigger second half to continue in that vein, but they do have the 5-point advantage. We'll have to see if they can continue to try and lock down Mexico's biggest offensive weapon, Paco Cruz, who was held to 3 of 11 shooting in the first half for his 7 points.
Same starting 5 from Russia that began the game, and that surprises me a little. I'd have thought that, you know, a couple of those energy guys that came in might have got the nod in the second half, but it shows you that, you know, this 5 has the confidence of Coach Bazarevich.
So Russia start the second half with the 5-point lead and with the ball. It's Ivan Strebkov. Across to the far side he goes. They don't want to start the second half with a turnover. It's off the foot of Paco Cruz. And Russia will look to inbound with Yevgeny Baburin, who turns 34 on the day of the final on Sunday. Nastopkovic, Strebkov, Moskov, the high screen, gets it back on the interior. Ion took a whack to the eye. Moskov looking to take advantage of that. Ion late to challenge the shot, but still a miss from Russia. Strebkov looking to work with Moskov again. Get out the way! A freight train, Timofey Moskov, but an offensive foul. And what a play on the defensive end to put his body on the line from Gabriel Giron. Wow! With the 2'15" center flying through the air at him.
Basket doesn't count as well. Wiped away, but the referee says a big play. Massive play from Giron.
Mexico are going to have to play a great game, as we were talking about, to beat a team of Russia's talents, and that means leaving it all on the floor. Giron certainly did that there. Flattened by the former NBA champion. Ion. Jaimez. Ion looking for Stoll. Stoll's going to take the shot. And we're still waiting for our first score of the third quarter. It will remain in the hands of Mexico, this though.
Just a little chippy to begin this third quarter. You can see what it means. Obviously, Mexico fighting for their life, and a little coming together. Stoll and Strebkov having some words, then a foul on the rebound as well.
Ion just 4 points so far from him. Giron crosses over onto the left, poked away, and now a chance for Russia. In transition, Baburin going all the way and scoring with the contact.
And Cruz doesn't like the call. It's a poor foul from him, though. He needs to commit the foul that doesn't give the bonus, or just let it go. Good quick hands for Baburin. You know, Cruz lets him get back to his right hand as well. And yeah, that's a foul. No question about it.
Only the first on Paco Cruz. Nobody on more than 2 in the game for either team. 7 the lead for Russia. Cruz working behind the frame of Ion. Giron. He's going to shoot the 3-point shot. Ion underneath it to try and put it back in, and doing so to great effect. Ion just 2 of 6 from the field before that one. Baburin. Vorontsevich to the far side. Strebkov, no-look touch pass around the perimeter it goes. Baburin takes the shot too long. Mexico get to it first. Now in transition, Paco Cruz. They'll slow it down and play in the half court.
Yeah, tempo important for Mexico.
Ion almost lost it on the feed through from Paco Cruz. Low catch, shift from the corner. Giron for 3 again. Misses this one. Rebound, Jaimez. And we talked about it in the first half. He's only a 198 forward, Fabian Jaimez, but so good on the offensive glass.
He's such a tough cover, and it's almost the perfect possession for Mexico. That they slowed it. They took the kind of tempo out of the game. They got an opportunity for Ion at the basket. Defense rotated, so they got a wide open 3 for a good shooter. even though they didn't hit it, because the defense is scrambling, it leaves Jaimez wide open to try and, you know, attack the glass, which he gets the offensive rebound, picks up a foul, and now points from the line. So they're just chipping away at this lead, keeping it low scoring, and now it's a half-court game for Russia rather than the up-and-down game we saw from them in that second quarter.
Moskov, pace here from Stripkov, trying to get it back to Moskov, but Stoll from the blind side picks his pocket.
I think those substitutions are going to come back in for Russia pretty quickly. You know, those guys that lifted the tempo in that second quarter.
Stoll up against the giant, almost caught in his orbit as he goes past Moskov and turns it over.
Stoll's claiming it got deflected. He did everything right, Stoll, except find this pass right at the end. Let's have a look. I couldn't see it from that angle. He really should have found his man. He might have. I don't know. I'm a terrible referee, so I'd stick with their call. And right on cue, substitutions have come in for Russia again.
It's only a 3-point game. 2.5 minutes into the third quarter, despite Russia having had an earlier double-digit advantage. Barborin trying to get to the basket himself, poked away again. Arms coming in from different angles on defense for Mexico to win it back. They've held Russia to just 2 points in the first 3 minutes of the second half. Ion up against Vorincevic. Ion turns around, gets nothing, but Jaimez gets everything again, then gets denied. Back out, far side. Two really highly committed sets of players.
And again, Mexico couldn't have got anything better, because not only are they keeping the ball here, it was a kick violation, so they get a fresh 14. Great work from them on the boards. Coach Pazarevic said it in his halftime interview, didn't he? Said early on it was frustrating. We didn't control the rebounding. We gave up too many second chance points. He said they took that away in the second quarter and got control of the rebounding battle. Here in the third again, this lineup from Mexico has caused problems.
Jaimez now has 6 offensive rebounds after 7 yesterday. Here's Cruz. Long range 2 over the top of Moskov for Paco Cruz, and Mexico back within a whisker.
Well, twice he's got open looks off a ball screen, twice he's made shots. It's just all these other shots that he's missed. He's been guarded so well.
Ooh, it's a backcourt violation. Kardanakishvili, Mexico wise to what he can bring after he proved to be the game changer in the first half. They don't allow him any space here in the second as he comes in off the bench.
No Antonov yet for Russia, which surprises me. I feel like now's the time. You know, they brought him in that first quarter and he changed the game. So it's Gulagin instead.
A chance for Mexico to take the lead here. Having battled their way back, Paco Cruz looking to battle his way to the basket, lost the handle on the ball and turns it over. He's still asking a question of the baseline official.
Oh, it came off his foot last, though. Yeah. It's another good call.
Kardanakishvili. Ivlev hands it off to Vorincevic. Plenty of movement in the Russian offense again. Ukov. Kulagin. Vorincevic shot clock down to the final second. They get their shot away. It's a good look at the basket with pinpoint precision. Ivan Ukov in the dying embers of the shot clock.
The inches between victory and defeat, that. You know, right at the end of a shot clock.
Ion to the far side. G, one little up fake. Steps back behind the three-point line. Defense not budging, though. Paco Cruz. Ion spins. Looking back out to Stoll. Ion gets it, shoots over the top of Ivlev, and Mexico can't convert in the final milliseconds of their shot clock. Lovely piece of skill from Ivan Ukov. Leads to the foul on Mexico. Just a couple of fouls on Mexico, though, here in the third. 4 already on Russia. Kardanakishvili draws the double team. Vorincevic looking to get free for the 3. And the foul on the floor on Jaimez. So 2 in quick succession on Mexico.
Third on Jaimez now. It's going to be a problem because Russia have almost resorted to just face guarding him on any shot attempt to keep him off the rebound. Such a good offensive rebounder.
Kulagin. Ion commits the foul, so 3 in a matter of seconds for Mexico. Both teams at 4 fouls now before the midway point of the third quarter. Any further fouls from either defense send the opposition offense to the foul line.
Just the first against Ion, though. That's probably more important.
Yeah, he was battling foul trouble throughout his 31 minutes on court yesterday. Kulagin. Giron ran into the big screen. Kulagin misses the shot behind it, though. Rebound Jaimez on the defensive end this time. It's 9 rebounds for Jaimez. Stoll inbound from Mexico, down by 4. Ion to Cruz. 9 points to lead Mexico from Paco Cruz. So far here, looks to getting himself to score again. Double digits, the first player in the game to hit that mark.
Coach said he was going to have 25 by the end of it, didn't he, Coach Quintero? He may well be right.
Mexico forced the turnover on Russia. Stoll running the floor. Lovely pass, bounce pass, Nola to the baseline cutter. Paco Cruz, some Mexico magic. They have battled back again.
Well, and the benefit is the timeout right here in the middle of the third quarter, called by Russia, gives a blow for Mexico. You know, they get a break right at a crucial moment for some of their key guys without having to call a timeout themselves. So it means they can rest themselves, they can get that tempo again, they get another possession of half-court defense rather than having to run up and down at pace against this Russian attack. And then it's incredible, Mexico leading the rebounding battle, all because of Jaimez, really. Of course, Ion does his part, but that's something that Coach Bazarevich was talking about. He said at halftime how important rebounding was for their team, and they are, you know, -5 right now. 13 offensive rebounds for Mexico. Just incredible.
Jaimez has 6 of those 13. Stoll, what a pass, though. Only his 2nd assist of the game, but it was a beauty. Now Mexico, having trailed by 10, have finally tied level. There's 2 quick scores in quick succession for Paco Cruz as well, who's up to 13. Ukov. Antonov is in the game now off the Russian bench. Kardanakishvili using Ivlev to get away. Looking for the wraparound pass. Stoll kept up with Ivlev, though, and intercepted.
Now that's where the age shows in that half-court game. If you can get them into a half-court, it's a lot of pressure on a teenage point guard for Russia.
Paco Cruz threads the eye of the needle. Amigo to the far side. Giron for 3 for the lead. No. Ukov down the floor. Komolov onto the corner. Ukov's going to fire the 3. Cruz catches up with it in the corner. Stoll shifting it on, turning it over. Antonov. Nothing to separate these two over just about 27 minutes. 41-41. Popped away. Stoll will try and get to it, and he does. Paco Cruz had a look at the rim, backs off, wants to go one-on-one, splits a couple of defenders, left-hand finish is fantastic.
The 5th steal of the game for Paul Stoll. so many times. Russian defender's been driving to the ring, and he's just got those quick hands there, tipping it away. Good defense from him. Mexico looking comfortable.
Ukov, there's another turnover from Russia. He looks at the officials and wants some help. No foul call. Paco Cruz. Mexico have the lead, having trailed by 10. 2.5 to play in the third. Cruz has 6 points in this quarter. He takes the outside shot. Paco Cruz has lit the fuse.
You know, Russia, just decision-making has fallen apart here. A couple of possessions ago, rushing to flood help on Amigo. Gave up the open three. Then Paco Cruz coming off ball screen, getting shots in a one-on-one scenario. Being able to just spot up and shoot. You know, you can't do that defensively, and now they're making these mistakes at the other end as well. I would like to have that man, Sergei Binkov, former Russian national team player. A little poise out there on the floor. Substitutions come in, so some of the old heads back on there now in the backcourt with Strebkov and Baborin back.
9 points in the quarter for Paco Cruz. Mexico have turned a 5-point halftime deficit into a 5-point lead. Looking to stretch it here. Amigo back to Stoll. To Amigo again. And everything dropping for Mexico now.
Well, he said, Amigo, it doesn't finish as well as Ion, but he plays his part right there.
He fouled out in 12.5 minutes yesterday. Daniel Amigo. Strebkov, he misses. And the basket looking smaller and smaller for Russia, bigger and bigger for Mexico. They have momentum right now. They're up by 7, have the ball back.
Another, you know, decision mistake from Russia. A little hand in the back on the rebound. Paul Stoll has inside position. Komolov just comes over the top of him for no need whatsoever. Stupid mistake. And it's a stupid one because there's 2 shots now. So this 7-point lead. Mexico, again, we talked about how important it is, this break in play, this tempo. Paul Stoll can walk to the other end of the floor. Paco Cruz can get a sub. Paul Stoll can take his time shooting these shots. It'll be a half-court game again for Russia, not up and down. So, you know, mistakes creeping in to this Russian performance.
Russia at the foul limit early in this third quarter. So, a couple at the line for Stoll. And this is an 18-5 third quarter, make it 19-5 for Mexico. 9 is their largest lead.
I said in the first half, where the points going to come from Russia? Who's the go-to guy? This is the moment we see. This is the moment somebody has to step up.
Baborin got to the far side. Antonov stepped up in the first half. And he can't hear in the third quarter, and what a battling play on the baseline from Giron. Stoll. Mexico have the bit between their teeth right now. There's a miss from Stoll, though. He's frustrated, claps his hands together. Final minute of the third quarter. Komolov with the touch on, the whistle before the shot from Baborin. Mexico are at the foul limit, though, so Russia will go to the line for 2. It's Antonov who's there. 7 points for him, all coming in the first half. Played 8.5 minutes a game as CSKA reached the EuroLeague Final 4 this past season. Knocks down his 2 foul shots, the first scores in a while for Russia to close the gap to 7. Estrada to the far corner. Komolov gets across to greet the shooter. And Russia have to scrap, scratch and claw, but Mexico matching that mentality over the hoop, though, from Giron and into Antonov's hands. Shot clock turned off at the end of the third quarter. A chance for Russia to make it a little bit tighter heading into the fourth. They'll try and hold it for the final shot. Strebkov. 2 to shoot. Strebkov, little up fake, got Amigo up in the air, got it to land, but a travel call.
That's good defense from Amigo as well.
What a performance in the third quarter from Mexico to go up 50 to 43 and 19 to 7. Third quarter in their favor.
Chippiness again from both teams, and I think that plays into the hands of the Mexicans. I think they like it. I think they want a game, they want to fight, they want to scrap, they want to make it a bit ugly, and that's exactly what they've done. It's such an impressive quarter from them. You know, for Russia, the difference between that one in the first half, you know, Antonov, first half, what was it, in transition, offensive rebounds, you know, kind of these open floor opportunities in that third quarter. What was it, Antonov for 3? You know, it was slow, it was methodical from Russia. They couldn't break the game the way they did in that first half. You know, that play from Babon, and how long ago does that feel? You know, such a rare occasion for them to see the open floor.
Mexico gritty at both ends of the floor, despite Russia playing some excellent defense at times as well. But it was in the first half for Russia, organized aggression, wasn't it? It got a bit flustered for them in the third quarter. Paco Cruz, not flustered by his difficult first half, came back strong in the last period. As many points in the third as he hit in the whole of the first half, up to 18 Toledo scorers in the game.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about Paco Cruz getting going, the 19 points is the largest quarter score that Mexico have had. And when you're able to score points, it's so much harder for the opposition to run back at you. So we think early on, you know, Mexico had some turnovers. That's what created those open floor opportunities. You know, in the third quarter, it was slowed down. Paco Cruz was scoring. Other guys were stepping up. Offensive rebounds, just killing that tempo, taking away the opportunity from Russia to come back.
Well, those transition baskets that Kardanakishvili was facilitating earlier in the first half there, non-existent for Russia now. The last time I looked down at the turnover count, it was 11-11. It's now 12 for Mexico, 18 for Russia.
Yeah, and 5 steals from Paul Stoll. We talked about 18 turnovers, just far too many for Russia.
Mexico start the fourth quarter with the ball in the 7-point lead. Mendez is going to take a contested shot, and he hits it. Everything going right for Mexico. Orlando Mendez, who's had a tough shooting tournament, knocks down a huge shot and gives Mexico their first double-digit lead. Strebkov. Antonov. He's going to take the 3 to try and answer back. Misses it. Giron couldn't quite reel in the rebound. A fresh 14 for Russia. Strebkov to slow it down. Using the frame of Ivlev, who kicks it out. Antonov, one further to the corner. Open 3-point shot right on the money from Komolov.
Yeah, don't forget yesterday, fourth quarter is where Mexico got tight. Offensively, they fell apart. I wonder if that's going to be in the back of their mind. So it was an important shot for Mendez. You know, this is the time. They got all the big hitters on the bench right now, Mexico. Probably 2 or 3 minutes if they can. And then they'll be coming back. Cruz is out, Ion's out, Paul Stoll is out. They're all ready to come back in if Mexico can just hang on to a lead here for a minute or two.
Estrada to inbound. Mendez prodding and probing, taking another contested shot. That one disrupted. Strebkov not hanging around. Komolov, he's just hit one from the near side, can't hit one from the far side. Poked away from Ivlev, who thought he had the offensive rebound for a moment.
Open floor though, that was, you know, the miss from Mexico, a quick early miss. Leads to opportunity for Russia. Couldn't take it that time. They'll take them if they keep getting that same chance.
Giron into traffic, back out to Estrada. He wants to attack the paint as well. Dishes off to Amigo. And the rebound ripped down aggressively by Antonov. Strebkov to Komolov. Strebkov to work with Ivlev again, perhaps. Back out to Baborin. Baborin dribble got away from him towards the baseline. They still get their shot away, and it rattles around and drops for Vladimir Ivlev.
Well, it wasn't by design, was it? It was tipped away from Baborin. Close to another turnover for Russia. This time, though, it fell to Ivlev.
They've halved that 10-point deficit down to 5. Jaime's another offensive rebound.
It's just incredible, isn't he? An absolute machine on the glass.
7 out of 9 of his boards on the offensive glass yesterday. 6 out of his 9 today.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2.5 minutes of rest into Paco Cruz and Paul Stoll, who have come back into the game. I can't see them going out again unless they foul out. Stoll with 3. Probably another minute, maybe a minute and a half, and Ion will join them.
Here is Paco Cruz, 18 points in the game after 30 yesterday. Turns to face the basket, takes on Antonov. Bumping body, switching onto the right hand, and getting the shooters bounce and roll. Exquisite offense from Mexico's Magic Man.
Watch the way he's got the ball left hip, holds it out, draws the contact, and then as he goes up, just the way he moves it around the attempted block of Savic as well. You know, the thing about Paco Cruz, he makes it look so easy, but that's such a difficult move. He's going full speed, he's being fouled, and then he's moved his body to face the opposite direction and get the finish as well.
He was 3 of 10 from the field in the first half. He's 6 of 7 here in the second half, now to 21 points. Mexico lead by 8, just over 7 minutes to play. Strebkov. And foul called on Jaimes. That's his 4th. That's a potential blow for him, the way he plays the game on defense and in terms of his rebounding. Strebkov. Baborin got the defense up in the air. Shot ball's well short, though. Mexico will have it back.
Baborin, air ball for 3. You know, his 2 points. He's got to step up for them. You know, it's got to be the opportunity for him to be that guy we've been asking for as well.
They've changed this and given it to Russia.
0.8 of a second on the shot clock for them.
Strebkov to inbound. Too high for Antonov. Otherwise, he might have got free.
He was wide open as well. They ran the play beautifully. Just a poor pass from Strebkov.
Into the final 7 minutes. A win keeps Mexico alive in terms of their chances of reaching the semi-finals and making Tokyo 2020. And puts Russia in real trouble with Germany to come tomorrow.
Oh, what a game that would be. Russia needing to win against Germany to possibly progress.
Amigo hands it off to Paco Cruz. Up against Baborin. Cruz prodding and probing against the double team, moves it on. Amigo got free inside and finished. But Paco Cruz just commanding so much attention right now, dishes his 3rd assist.
Oh, what a big performance from Amigo, with a couple of just finishes around the basket when they needed it.
Stoll was close to coming up with his 6th steal of the game, but Russia got it back. And Baborin hits a three-point shot. And what a huge shot that is for him and his team. He was 0 of 2 before that one. He shot 44% on 5 attempts a game in the Basketball Champions League this past season.
Massive. Let's have a look at this under the basket. Not a whole bunch in it. Amigo's been talking a lot to all the Russian team members. I'm sure the referees are now coming together, see if they're going to go look at the screen for this, see if there's anything there. Oh, the Mexicans looked up above them at the cube that's above us here in the arena. They believe that the referee should be looking at the screen as well. Referees aren't going to do it though. Either way, again, another break for Mexico, just in terms of the tempo, just in terms of a little rest. Amigo still out there, Ion still on the bench.
Stoll, Mexico by 7, 6 minutes to play. Paco Cruz. Shifted on by Mendes to the corner, Ramos comes up short. Amigo can't grab the loose ball over the baseline. Mexico claiming it should be their possession. It's another tough one for the officials in the kind of game where each and every possession could prove pivotal.
The question is, you know, who gets tighter quicker here? Is it Russia worrying about the fact that, you know, as favourites they could lose this one? Or is it Mexico who get tight, thinking about yesterday, the fourth quarter collapse, needing to win the game, or knowing that their chances of qualification to Tokyo are over? It's a pressured environment for both teams here. First timeout for Mexico. They've got 3 now to call, or 2 more after this one in the final 5 minutes 46 seconds. So great opportunity for them to look after tempo, to control, to stop any run at all from Russia really, really early.
How the picture can change. We talked about Russia effectively having 2 bites of the cherry to qualify for the semi-finals. They knew if they won this one, they were into the final 4. And then, of course, Germany to come for them in their second game tomorrow. But the flip side of that now is if Mexico do the business here, well, then Russia have so much pressure on them in that game against Germany tomorrow. Five on the shot clock, and it comes to Amigo. Paco Cruz got a good look for 3. Russia will come forward in transition. Stoll, can he get to the loose ball? Far side, he can. Steal number 6 for him. And the 35-year-old still quick and tenacious. Mendes, far side, found a gap to Ramos. Stoll, 7 on the shot clock. Mendes trying to get past Barborin onto Paco Cruz in the corner. A couple of misses in a row for him.
You can't keep giving Paco Cruz those looks, though. The Russian defense, I mean, I think to the first half, he just didn't get a look like that at all, did he? Every time he caught the ball, he was swarmed. But here, 2 good looks for him. He kind of had a smile as he was walking back down the court. Frustrated he missed them, but now look, they've got, what, 7-point lead, 5 minutes to go. Ion fresh back into the game as well.
Barborin. Around the perimeter it goes for Russia. Kulagin. Back out to Antonov, who gets an open 3 and hits it over the top of Gustavo Ion. A huge shot for Russia to close the gap to 4.
It's a big, big shot from Antonov. He's been their best player today. Important basket from him.
Up to 12 points. The only Russian player in double figures.
Dankashvili playing some big minutes right now for a teenager in such an important game for Russia.
Ion Had a good rest earlier in this quarter. Stoll. Antonov and Ion bumping bodies. Ion trying to get free baseline cut. Ramos adjusted the shot to beat the defender and finish off the glass and get the contact in the process.
They've gone smaller, Russia, and the problem with that is somebody's got to guard Ion. They're trying to, switch so that Voron Savic is there to help. But the trouble is that leaves Marco Ramos open, and Ramos just a heady play to cut to the basket. He hasn't shot it well, as we've talked about, but that could be a famous play for Mexico.
And he completes the three-point play. And they're keeping Russia at arm's length, back up by 7.
Now the smaller lineup for Russia causes problems for Mexico on this end of the floor. Ion's got to guard Antonov. Here it is. This is something they could possibly exploit.
Kulagin up against Ion. Gets past the big man into the lane. Lovely moves from Kulagin, slicing and dicing through the Mexican defense.
Yeah, heady play from him to attack Ion. Ion's got 4 fouls to give. Expect him to use them.
Final 4 minutes. 5-point ball game. Stoll. Giron into Ion. He's hoping to draw the double team and kick back perhaps to the perimeter. A foul called on Russia. They're at the limit.
It's free throw shooting for Mexico. A perfect 8 of 8 so far in this game. If they stay perfect, that could be enough to win them the game, with Russia already in the bonus.
Yesterday against Germany, they had the better percentages from the floor, but they struggled at the foul line. Mexico, they're perfect here.
Ion just a 50% free throw shooter through his 3 seasons in the NBA. And that one did not go.
Gets the second to go. Sticks to that 50%. Mexico by 6 in the final 4 minutes. Kardanakishvili getting away, looking back to the guarded Baborin. Kulagin up against Giron. Antonov, pick and roll into the center, and Giron with the foul. That's only the 3rd on Mexico.
Yeah, and Mexico are going to use those fouls to give. Ion will use his when he needs to, and Giron, commits a foul there, but probably a little early. I don't think that was the time to use one of them. Not sure Russia were going to get away.
Kardanakishvili. Kulagin. Confronted by Ion, who tried to poke it away. Comes out to Kardanakishvili, touch pass to the corner, 3-point shot. Stoll.
This is where Stoll is really good. He's happy with the ball in his hands. He isn't going to lose it.
Takes the 3 with a hand in his face from Kulagin and hits a huge shot for Mexico.
And the other thing is he loves the big occasion, Paul Stoll. That's what he lives for, shots like that. Oh, that's just a massive basket. Russia up against it now, under 3. Wow.
Talk about character. Paul Stoll, he'd only hit 1 of his 6 shots before that. He'd only dished 3 assists, committing 5 turnovers. But character on the defensive end to come up with 6 steals, and the character there on the offensive end to take another huge contested shot and to knock it down in the big moment.
Yeah, with Paul Stoll, it doesn't matter if he's 1 for 6, 1 for 50. He's shooting that shot knowing that he can make it. And right now, forget this last 3 minutes. What a performance from Mexico. I mean, they couldn't. Coach Quintero has to take so much credit for this, because what he talked about at half has happened. The way they've set the game up, this is the only way they could beat Russia. With the way the game has gone here today, and they're the ones that have caused it to happen. They forced the game to be played at the style, the tempo, the way they wanted it to. And they forced Russia into a lot of these mistakes.
And his team still have just 12 turnovers. It's one, I believe, perhaps in the whole of the second half. Russia now to 20 turnovers, many of them forced by Paul Stoll. And that tenacious Mexican defense and mentality. 9, the Mexico lead inside the final 3 minutes.
And still Jaime to come in off the bench as well.
Stoll up against Kardanakashvili. He got away from him this time, Antonov. Trying to get to the basket and a foul. He'll go to the line for 2.
Now, I'm not, like, they didn't want to commit him, but that was one of the times to potentially use the foul as well. Antonov against Stoll right at the front of the basket. There's the foul. You know, just make him earn them from the line. Again, it kills the tempo for you. Means the game doesn't go up and down. It's not the worst foul at all for Mexico.
Certainly not the worst foul now.
And especially because Antonov is a 50% shooter in the EuroLeague this year. You know, better at 61% in the VTB league, but, you know, he's probably better than that from point-blank range for a layup.
He hit his first 3 from the stripe in this game, so he was due a miss. Recovers to hit the second, though.
And this is where we said about Stoll loves the occasion. Stoll and Cruz just so good in a game like this. With the ball in their hands, they won't be rushed. Makes it difficult for Russia to kind of turn them over, although they get one there.
First turnover in a long, long time from Mexico, and it leads to the transition basket. What we thought was going to be a score, and it is on a goaltend. The basket will count for the teenager, Anton Kardanakashvili. So the 2 points good for Russia. The difference cut to 6.
I think this is the time for Jaime, because, you know, an extra possession or 2 from him on the offensive glass, what that will mean for Mexico.
Cruz shifting it on, Ion taking off. Gustavo Ion taking flight, getting some height, and getting Mexico within touching distance of a huge win. They lead by 8 into the final 2 minutes. Kulagin wide of the basket on the 3. Mexico possession.
Well, Russia chasing the game. They gave up the easy one. That's the thing when you extend the defense. It gives more space for the opportunity to break. Exactly what Cruz did. That's what I was saying. Cruz and Stoll here, you know, can be so good against this pressure.
Stoll to slow it down, to take precious seconds away from Russia.
Don't even need to shoot, they're just going to use the full 24.
Threads it through, ball movement, team play. Ramos misses, offensive rebound will certainly help. Ceiling put up though on Gustavo Ion, but it's out of bounds and still Mexican ball.
That's what we said about the offensive rebounds. You know, it's a whole fresh 14 seconds now. Great opportunity as we see the Germans looking on. They thought this was going to be job done, didn't they? They were almost hoping for a Russian victory. It meant they would qualify. Now they're thinking they've got to turn around and face off potentially against Russia, do or die game.
Well, that really does make it interesting for tomorrow.
But the other thing to consider is, I mean, we've still got 91 seconds here, so still a long time, a chance for this game to swing completely back to Russia. But the points difference is the other thing, because, you know, there's a big chance now. All 3 teams could be tied at the end of the group stages with 1 win and 1 loss. If that's the case, we go to points difference. So, you know, right now, a Mexican victory of 8 points and 10 points. Wow, what an advantage that would be for them.
And we saw Mexico making a real effort to fight to keep it close and reduce that arrears against Germany yesterday. It was only a 6-point losing margin for them.
Don't forget what happened at the end of that game where Paco Cruz was fouled shooting a 3 so late on, and you said at the time, oh, these free throws could be important. And they may well be. What a what a story that would be if it come back to be those free throws that could see Mexico through to the semi-final.
The story yet to really unfold here in Split, but what a dramatic one it will be, no matter what happens over the conclusion of this game and the conclusion of this group tomorrow. We're still not really any closer to knowing which of Mexico, Russia or Germany will drop out. Mexico need to finish the job here. They get it back to Paco Cruz. Final minute and a half, up by 8 points. And the foul coming with 5 on the shot clock. Still 5 on the shot clock, no foul, it's an out of bounds. Shifted on, Stoll for the big shot again, and the Russians have been rocked against the ropes. Mexico by 11 are closing in on the semi-finals. Vorincevic misses, Giron got it back. Mexico heading to the final minute. In cruise control right now. Here is Paco Cruz. No need to rush anything. And what we know is that we talked about the points differential. If Mexico win by 7 or more, they will officially book their place in the semi-finals, no matter what happens in that game between Russia and Germany tomorrow. That will be a straight shootout between the two tomorrow for the next spot in the semi-finals, and the loser would go out.
What a performance from Mexico. This has been tired legs, old legs, but just, played it perfectly, as we said. Coach Quintero's got to take so much credit.
And they lead by 12 now. So they're plus 5 in terms of that margin they need. One more foul shot for Gustavo Ayon. He's become the 3rd Mexican scorer into double figures now with 10, behind the 11 of Stoll and the 21 of Cruz. All 3 of those players have been huge in the second half. 7 out of the 11 points for Ayon in the second half. 12 of the 21 for Cruz in the second half. And Paul Stoll with 2 huge 3-pointers in this 4th quarter. Russia are reeling.
Well, we came into today, worried about Mexico going back-to-back, and we may be leaving this game with Mexico having qualified already. Just an incredible turnaround from them. Really has been a superb performance.
And we came into the game as well talking about how they ran out of steam late on yesterday, how key players in their 30s played long minutes yesterday. Actually, in this one, they've only got better the longer the game's gone on.
Yeah. It really has been a complete flip for them. Started slowly and it got better as the game went on. And, yesterday they started so fast.
They lead by 13. Quick offense for Russia, that's what they need. They don't need the miss though. Ayon with a commanding take, grabs the rebound. And as the clock ticks away, Mexico get closer and closer to the semi-finals. Cruz turns it over, 31.3 seconds to play.
The points difference so important for Russia here. You know, for every point difference, it means that's what they've got to beat Germany by as well.
Antonov hesitates on the three. Vorontsevich won't, though. He takes it and makes it and keeps this alive in terms of Mexico perhaps still missing out and having to wait for tomorrow. It's a 10-point margin, 22 seconds to play. Mexico in the semi-finals if they win by 7 or more.
You know, as I was saying, you know, the thing for Russia, 10 points here, and if we do get the three-way tie, so if they're able to win tomorrow against Germany, they're starting -10 in the three-way tie, and Germany are starting +6. So there's a 16-point difference there. So they'll need to win by 8 tomorrow. But every point they get back right here is points they don't have to win by tomorrow. So even though in the last 22 seconds, maybe this game is in favor of Mexico, for Russia, this is so important.
Remember, Russia led by 10 in the first half, by 5 at half-time. Mexico have gone up by as many as 13 late in the day here, to the delight of their fans. Family and friends in attendance here in Split. But each of the remaining 22 seconds still can be crucial to both nations.
41-26 second half in favor of Mexico. Incredible.
Shot clock turned off, so protect the ball. And Mexico are into the semi-finals. Paco Cruz to get it in. That was the first challenge. Mendes trapped in the corner, though, turns it over. Kardanakashvili with the interception and the finish. Now it's a 8-point margin, and they need to win by 7 or more.
Yeah. Still.
15.3 to play. Same hurdles that Mexico will face now as they get another inbounding situation. Mendes needs to get it in. Does so to Ion. He gets the pass forward to Stoll there. Out of the backcourt as well. Mendes, 7 seconds remaining. Ion, there within touching distance. Ion, back out. Giron to kill it. It doesn't matter the miss, because Mexico, it was must win for them. It was do or die, and boy did Omar Quintero's team do it with a huge performance against Russia to win by 8, a scoreline that sees them into the semi-finals here in Split.
Wow, absolutely superb 40-minute performance from Mexico. We talked about it throughout, but you know, the game plan, the execution, the quality that they showed in this game, you know, a deserved victor here today. Mexico, you know, really played the perfect game, and of today's performance, they deserve to be in the semi-finals.
We said they had plenty of character, plenty of grit after that performance against Germany yesterday. They just fell short by 6 points. We thought they might be running on fumes, though, after playing back-to-back days, back-to-back games against back-to-back talented opponents. But they dug deep. They found plenty left in the tank. And they down the highest-ranked team in this tournament. Turnover count crucial. Russia forced into 20 turnovers. Paul Stoll, who we just heard from there, walking away off the floor, coming up with 6 steals in the game. As we take a look at the top scorers, after 30 yesterday, Paco Cruz 21 today, 12 of which came in the second half. Ion and Stoll in double figures as well. Russia led by the 13 of Antonov, but only 2 scorers in double figures, as they were held to just 64 points.
Even outside of scoring, though, you just look at some of the step-up performances from some of the Mexican players and compare that to the Russian counterparts. You know, Fabian Jaime, 4 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals. plays that make a difference in the role that he's been given as well. He's not asked to score points, but he's asked to crash the boards. He's asked to play great defense. That's what he's done. Daniel Amigo comes in with those 2 late baskets in the 4th quarter. We know Ion, he scores. We know Cruz got to 21. So that's the one mistake that's been made by Mexico really today, because Coach Quintero told us he was going to have 25 at the end of the game. But no, Cruz steps up with a big performance, scoring-wise. Other guys just making those plays. Ramos today, he had 7. Orlando Mendez had those important 5 as well. Whereas you look down the other end for Russia and just so many guys. You know, Astapkovic started the game. He only had 10 points. Mozgov, 2 points, 0 of 2 from the field. Strebkov, 2 points, 1 of 5 from the field. That's been the difference. The Russian players within their role stepped up and did what they were supposed to do.
Such a good team performance in the end, and a much better spread in terms of responsibility for Mexico, having been so reliant on Paco Cruz and Gustavo Ayon in that defeat to Germany yesterday. We talked at half-time about how good a team Russia looked. What went wrong for them in the second half?
Well, they couldn't replicate the defensive performance of the first half. You know, I think that's the key. At half-time, what was it? There was 31 points that Mexico had at the half. So you can see, you know, in the 30s in the first half, in the 40s in the second. And that was the difference for Russia. When you can't stop the opposition, you can't run, you can't get in the open floor, you can't play a high-tempo game. And Mexico just dominated the tempo of it, going up and down to the way they wanted to play the game.
And it sets us up for a huge game to finish this group tomorrow. Group A, one of the 2 teams, one of the 2 groups in Split. You see what it means on the Mexican bench. Those big shots late on from Paul Stolk. The big dunk from Gustavo Ayon as well. Mexico through to the semi-finals. We have to find out tomorrow if it's going to be Germany or Russia who join them. It's a must-win game for Russia. And then they have to worry about the head-to-head if they do get the win over Germany. Mexican joy here at the Palladium Arena, though, in this one. They're top of the pile at the moment. If Russia do win tomorrow, then, of course, the 3 teams all with a 1-1 record at the conclusion of the group, and it goes down to the points differential. But Mexico with the 8-point win here, we know they have guaranteed their spot in the semi-finals. And there's a huge game to come still later this evening. The hosts in action here for the first time. That's a Group B contest, Brazil against Croatia. Do join us for that one here at the Olympic Qualifying Tournament in Split.
Paco, congratulations to the victory. Talk us through the game.